already took a peek at the chat, and I see people already, the Bay Area people are here. So before I even say anything, welcome to all my Bay Area peeps. Man, the show is just getting inundated with all these cats from the Midwest. So there's going to be a lot of Bay Area slang in the chat tonight, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I am your host, Jason Miles, and welcome to another episode of This is Revolution Podcast for all the returning listeners, subscribers, and of course, our very valued patrons. Thank you so much for coming back. To those new to the channel, thank you for taking a moment to check us out. If you do dig what we're doing here, please hit like and of course subscribe. It is a passive gesture that goes a long way in promoting the channel. I want to let everyone watching and the people later listening know that after the show, we're going to a special screening of the movie that we'll be discussing tonight, Christians and Cannibals, with the filmmaker. He'll be there to answer any post-viewing questions you guys may have. This is a first for us on TIR, so I'm stoked about that. Just a brief reminder that if you dig the wide variety of programming we provide here on TIR and you want to make sure we can stay on air and you want to join us for these movie nights and champagne rooms, become a patron or a paid YouTube subscriber. When you become a patron or a paid YouTube subscriber, you get champagne room and movie night access for as little as $3 a month or $30 for the year. You get the satisfaction of knowing your small donation goes a long way of keeping this show going. Now, let's get down to it. When Tupac asked the rhetorical question, how many brothers fell victim to the streets and life goes on? The documentary film Christians and Cannibals does not attempt to answer it with a body count. Instead, it offers a material analysis of the casual forces that render the youth of urban enclaves fodder for both the prison system and the grave. Our guest today, Anthony ASUEGA, turns the lens inward, documenting his own family's struggle to survive not only the ghettos of the Bay Area, but neoliberal capitalism itself. Anthony's father, already deceased by the time the film was made, emerges as a central figure, reconstructed through the testimonies of siblings, his children, and an ex-wife. What unfolds is not a Tony Montana-style rags to riches glorification of gangster life, but a story of assimilation, cultural exchange, and rupture. The Samoan experience in the Bay Area is rarely told, often flattened into a generalized Pacific Islander narrative. And Christians and Cannibals offers an intimate, fly-on-the-wall account of a first-generation struggle to survive in a rapidly transforming economic landscape. It captures what may be among the first generation's denied access to stable, quality employment with now formal education, victims of deindustrialization, and the global flight of factory labor from the Bay Area to the Sun Belt and then overseas. In this context, the follies of youthful malfeasance carried a far steeper price. No longer could a young person cycle through crime, land a union factory job, and claw their way into a tenuous middle-class existence. Anthony shows how the foreclosure of legitimate opportunity opens the door to illegal economies and the worship of gangsterism. This is a life I, too, know as well. And what distinguishes Christians and Cannibals is its refusal to become yet another moral rebuke of the so-called underclass. Instead, it is a careful, thoughtful act of storytelling that indicts the system rather than its casualties. What the film exposes is not cultural dysfunction, but an economy of sacrifice, one that strips communities of work, stability, and future, then reclassifies the fallout as personal failure. These are not tragedies in the abstract, but outcomes that were engineered, normalized, and ultimately forgotten. There is no redemption arc waiting in the wings, no late-stage correction, only an empire that consumes its own margins and calls the wreckage responsibility. The streets are not solely responsible for these deaths. They share that with economic policy. Again, after the show, patrons and paid YouTube subscribers will be able to join us for a screening of the film with Anthony. Please welcome, coming all the way live, filmmaker Anthony ASUEGA.
Yo, Jason, thank you for having me. Happy to be here. I really appreciate you having me on. Yeah, all power to the people. Yeah, did I mean?
I want to say, so you every so often, someone will reach out to me and say, "Hey, I got a book." Usually, it's a book. It's a book. I got to put some as an article, but I get a message. Hey, my dad's from the Bay. That's like the first line. My dad's from the Bay. So I'm like, yes, tell me more. And then it's like, I made this movie, and he sends it to me, and I watch the first 5 minutes, and I send a message back. Sure, this is a date. Can you make it? Because I wanted to eventually watch the whole thing, and I wanted to get you in to talk about this movie because number one, I have halvesy children. They're not. They're Filipino, so they want to say Pacific Islander, but they're not. They're not.
That's for the census. That's what they're doing.
That's for the census, yeah. But they look like your cousins. But you mix styles, which when you're making films is kind of a no-no, right? Either you're going to be a footage guy or an interview guy. And I guess before we even get into that, tell us a little bit of what Christians and Cannibals is about and how you even came up with that title.
Yeah, definitely. So ostensibly the film is about my family. My dad, he was born in American Samoa and came to the United States and to California when he was a child. And it's, the story about how he, came to America seeking, what many people would call something like the American dream. But as we were talking a bit about backstage, from the lens of political economy, what's occurring is deindustrialization, right?
Yeah.
So trying to find that stable union-based job is becoming rarer and rarer. So yeah, it's about my dad, who is kind of an emergent figure because he's not there to speak for himself. So he emerges through the conversations that I have with my uncles, my cousin, my brother, and my mom. And yeah, I mean, some of them are in the chat right now, so shout out to them. But,
do you see your dad as maybe the architect of some of the maybe more worse parts of the family?
I mean, I think there's an argument to be made for something like that, right? I was telling you backstage a bit that I've been reading The City of Quartz by Mike Davis.
Great book.
Great book, yeah. But he situates the crack epidemic through the lens of political economy. Yeah. So he shows how, in 1984, the traffic of cocaine moves away from Florida through Mexico into Southern California, and how concurrently there's the shutting down of the automobile plants, the steel plants. So the jobs that would have been available for especially young Black youth are no longer available. And the jobs that become available are essentially what he describes as, kind of a crypto Keynesian employment program, where, they're often portrayed in the media as this kind of paramilitary force, right? The gangs that are emerging at this time. But really, most of them are high school sophomores. They're kids. And the response to, what may be called a kind of surplus population is not the kind of material economics that would benefit them that kind of led to this situation, but it's the mass incarceration, the militarization of the police. Yeah, so I think it's important to have that, to situate it within its historical context.
That's an important thing that I think, and I mentioned I mentioned this to you off air, and I want to say this on air. If you leave that part out of the story and you just make it a story about kind of underclass struggle without the material conditions that cause underclass struggle, then I think more people would love it, because we kind of love seeing these poverty tales, right? I was joking with you. I was like, The Rock would have gave you a bunch of money, you know. All the WWE would have probably wanted to help you, fund this, because you are putting a spotlight on a community that, outside of the sports arena, we don't really talk about the plight of island people in the States. And unless you live in certain communities, unless you live in San Francisco, certain parts of Los Angeles, where I'm from, Richmond, California, you're probably not going to even interact with this Utah, right? You're not going to interact with this population at all. And for me, there's a through line whenever you tell these kinds of hood stories, which is, there's a generation that you're dealing with. This is the first generation where you just can't fall into work like previous ones did. And previous generation, your parents are constantly looking at you like, why? And they're like, there's no opportunity. But, and there's things that young people do that they do grow out of, right? And it may sound super severe now, because I think times have changed so much with prison sentences. Like when we say stealing cars, if you say stealing cars to a person of a certain age, they shrug their shoulders and kind of giggle and go, yeah, I stole a car when I was younger. You say stealing cars to a person that's even like 10 years, like maybe your dad's age, that's a serious crime. You're going to get thrown in jail and you're going to have a permanent record. Like, again, my father's parents lived in a different time. Even my father lived in a different time where he could make criminal errors, if you will, and fall into a good job. If you ignore that aspect of this story, then you're just talking about dysfunctional people, and you're turning Samoans into hillbilly elegy. And I feel like this movie did such a great job of not doing that. Was that a struggle for you?
I mean, like I said backstage, one of my favorite Chappelle skits was when keeping it real goes wrong, right? Like sometimes I think, you got to keep it real, but it can turn itself on its head. But I mean, I don't know. I think, I had something I wanted to say. And for me, it wouldn't have been worth it to make a film if I couldn't say what I wanted to say. I look at a show like yours where, you just talk about whatever you want to talk about, right? Like, a few months ago, I watched Repo Man because you recommended it. I was like,
damn.
This is a good movie.
That's a damn good movie, right?
And, if this was some podcast that was trying to, top the Apple Podcasts, whatever, top 100 or something, you would be channeled into a particular mode of reason that would preclude, just talk about cool, interesting stuff. So for me, I just wanted to talk about cool, interesting stuff. I wanted to show, how heroic I think many of the people in my family are, and, the very classical sense of the word, and that they encounter difficulties, they struggle and ultimately overcome. But again, keeping it within the historical framework of what's occurring, because, as Marx might say, like all of our experience is preconditioned on our material reality and our relationship to one another. And I don't think there's a sensible story to be told without that framework, because like you were saying, without that, it's spectacle, it's mystification. It takes away the mechanical process, the processes that make it explicable, and instead package it, commodify it, and ship it away for it to become something that takes on a life of its own.
Another reason why I think it's so important that you put the material conditions first is because I grew up in the era of it. The problem with these Negroes, and we're going to lump your people in with these Negroes. Sorry, Aunt. You guys dance, the noses, just too black.
We're coming for you.
We're coming for you, nigga.
Whoa! Your family members had no idea the show you were going on. I was going on a real show with a respectable man, and they're dropping N-bombs.
You gotta ask if the hose is loyal. I don't know.
Yeah. So, shit, Anthony watches the show. I grew up in an era of the problem with colored children, and this was even coming from fractions of the left, is fatherlessness. If we had fathers in our homes, then they would beat us or something, or Cosby us into acting right. That was the problem. It was these women can't raise these. You put a clip from Boys in the Hood. Boys in the Hood is an advertisement for the 1994 crime bill. It could have been called "See, I Told You, Dad." so like the one theme I feel that you hear from your uncles, because again, they're adults, but they're not immune to this same rhetoric that's coming out. They're like, we grew up with parents in the house and we still wild out. Was that a conscious decision to keep those things in there? Because I know you have to have, 1 million hours of footage, but I felt like you consciously put that. Even your cousin, that was just his whole interview is just like the poor guy wants to keep it together and he just can't. I will preface that by saying, a lot of the interviews that Anthony has is during a funeral for one of his cousins. So it's a very deep time for a lot of people where these patriarchs are kind of looking back on their own lives and mistakes and what led them down certain paths that could have led these kids down certain paths and why they don't want to do it anymore. Again, we're going to watch the movie in the champagne room, but was that a conscious decision though, to kind of to have people, or is that a question you even asked about fathers or parents in the home?
Yeah. I don't know how conscious it was. For the most part, there was one scene where my brother was talking about somebody getting a whooping, and I just thought that was funny. So I try to weave it in a little bit, but I do take your point of, I think your friend Tori Reed, he puts it really well in Toward Freedom. This, he lays out and kind of shuts down a lot of the arguments for reform, for poverty alleviation that were coming in the post-war society, right? Based on this underclass ideology, based on that Moynihan report type stuff, and contrasts it with the more New Deal style politics, which had come before, which were based on, jobs programs, mass unionization, things like that. So I do think it's a pertinent point about, even if you have Bill Cosby in the home, it doesn't. I mean, maybe that's not a good
No, I mean
example anymore, but
that's felt like it was a. I don't know if it was part of your questioning, but people were. If it wasn't, they were forthcoming with that information that like I had no excuse for the path that I took. So and again, but you're also interviewing, men in their 50s that are a little more self-reflective. I'm 48 and I cry at everything. I cried at the end of Stranger Things and still wrote a scathing review of it. So I just that's what happens when you get old. But also you're doing this during a kind of a time of tragedy. Family also plays a big role in everything you do, and I guess as part of the culture. Can you explain a little bit the role that family plays for you in this whole story?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm probably not alone in thinking that. I love my family. My family has always shown me love growing up, from my mom to my uncles to my aunts, my cousins. I got a really big family, especially on my dad's side. And I grew up with them. I think for me, growing up, when you're a little kid, I'm sure you felt the same way. What you see in your family, it becomes normalized, right? You don't think to question it. It's only until you start to kind of step away from things a little bit, and are able to reflect on things, and be like, man, that's a little weird. That's a little strange. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? And yeah, I think even for me, those are always open questions about, you can use political economy, you can use kind of historical materialism to try to understand the situations in the world. But also, there is the personal narrative which exists. You can't forget that what is actually occurring is occurring to people. And yeah, I think that's an important counterpoint to always keep in mind, I guess.
Your mom is in the documentary. Was it hard to put the camera on? It's one thing to talk to your brother because you guys are kind of telling stories that maybe you don't remember anymore, right? But to hear your mom's journey before your dad even comes into the picture is kind of a jaw dropper. was any of that stuff you didn't know, or did you know all that stuff?
No, I mean, yeah, most of it was new to me. I was like, dang,
Jesus.
every sentence that came out of her mouth, I was like,
yeah,
I was sheltered. Yeah.
Because your mom also appears as, I think she's the only non-Samoan in the documentary.
Yeah.
And she's Latina?
Just white. Yep.
Your mom is just white. Because when your brother said something about a white lady and talking about your mom, I was like, is he just saying that because she's a pale Latina?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's hard to tell with Latinos sometimes.
Yeah. So, but your brother mentions a stepfather, and that person, are they gone, or they didn't want to be in the documentary?
No, he's still around. I just didn't have the opportunity to interview him.
What was the big change when the stepfather came into the picture opposed to Pops? And was Pops in the day-to-day picture? Because the way your mom describes your dad, kind of like he was there but not really there. Like, can you explain your dad a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really grow up in the same house with my dad. I mean, he was on the run from the police a lot. He was doing his own things, selling drugs. So, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your dad? I mean, he's.
Oh yeah.
You're good with the feds now.
Yeah. So like I said, my dad moved to the Bay Area when he was a kid. He was adopted by his uncle. So he lived with his cousins. So essentially his cousins became his brothers. But, you know, he got out of high school, and, you know, at that time there was, you know, a lot of opportunity, you know, a lot of money to be made in drugs, right? You know, these days that opportunity is now in the hands of pharmaceutical companies. So
it's not the same. You know, again, your father has a Horatio Alger drug story that it ends the way a lot of them end for people that have Horatio Alger drug stories. But one of your uncles says that he kind of came up selling bags of crack, and he turned crack into kilos, and kind of similar to what's the guy that based American Gangster on? Frank Lucas brought his brothers on to the business, and I guess it became a bit of a family business. So I'm assuming that a lot of your cousins were left without their dads, because you kind of stay on the run when you do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like my Uncle Steve, for example, he went to prison, and yeah, he was in there for the first few years of my cousin's life. You know, I think my dad, in particular, I was further from my dad than many of my cousins were from their dads for any number of reasons, I guess. But yeah, day-to-day life, I didn't see him very often.
And your mom even says when she has your brother, she tells this kind of harrowing tale of being homeless, driving herself to a hospital, having the kid, having your brother, and then like holding up in a hotel somewhere. It's your mom tells these stories kind of flippantly almost.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh man, this kid's mom was a cold piece. Mom was
a lot.
Cold piece. Or maybe she's just a cold piece on camera. I don't know, but you do humanize your mom, because I'm watching this whole thing. I was like, this can't be this kid's mom. First of all, she looks so shout out to moms for, you know, but jokes aside, I'm like, she can't be this kid's mom. She looks so young. And then you see her at is that a wedding?
Yeah, that was my little brother's wedding.
Okay. And then she cries, and you're like, okay, so she is. Maybe she's not as bad as I thought. This woman is just rattling off the most frightening details about her upbringing, and then having these kids. I'm just like, holy Jesus Christ. And one of your uncles is a pastor. Where is that church? Is that in San Francisco?
Right now, I think he does service in Vallejo, okay, Stockton. But yeah, I think he started out in San Francisco.
How important was the church in your upbringing? I'm gonna pull my racist card. So the only island people I know are Mormons that I toured with when I worked for Yo Gabba Gabba. You guys are not Mormon, just Christian, yes. Or what is your denomination?
Yeah, so my uncle's church is Pentecostal.
Okay. Was that a big thing for your family?
Yeah, definitely. Especially for my uncle and his kids. You know, all of his kids were raised in the church. They play instruments in the church. You know, Sundays essentially exclusively reserved for church service. Yeah.
And then I do want to nerd out with you a little bit about the styles that you used. I mentioned this early on. The movie starts off very Adam Curtis like, and I'm a huge fan of Adam Curtis's stuff. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I didn't bite his style in making my short documentary stuff.
Saying that just directly bit him. So
I'm not gonna lie, But when I was making or still making this this kayfabe series, I did want to mix in some actually live interviews, and the guy making it was like, "No, we're not. You don't do that. You just don't do that, right?" And so again, yours is very. It just hits you over the head because you created kind of off-camera dialogue, and then or it's just not being filmed to weave into the story as a whole, and then you use archival footage that is some amazing archival footage, by the way. And you kind of tell the story of Samoa as well. That's in the backdrop. Tell me about Samoa and how you connect with it, being a kid of mixed ethnicity growing up in, I'm assuming you grew up in San Francisco, where there's not a lot of you guys there. Uh-oh.
One half white. The term is called Afakasi. I've been to Samoa once actually now, maybe last summer, 2 summers ago. I was out there at an internship. I was working for this coral reef protection group. But you know, when I was there, I had the opportunity to meet some relatives, chill on the beach. You know, it's a cool place. Yeah. I mean, what is there to say? I think, you know, I growing up, there was my mom's side of the family, but much smaller.
Well, she says it, but both of her parents passed away when she was pretty young, it sounds like.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah. So yeah, I never met them, but I do have aunts on that side and a few cousins. So yeah, for me, I spent a lot of time with my dad's side of the family, but yeah, I think, you know, especially now, it's kind of inevitable to have that kind of cultural separation once a population becomes a diaspora. So I think, you know, more and more that separation continues to occur. Like, you know, I know 2 or 3 words of Samoan, but that's really it, you know. Yeah.
And a lot of the movie also takes place at these gatherings that aren't always funerals, right? Sadly, again, there are funerals, which again, I think is an important part of the story that you're trying to tell. It's in the title, right? Christians and Cannibals. Does it feel like a closed off community in certain regards, or is it a welcoming community that's open and everybody has at least one black baby daddy that shows up?
Yeah, there's a few of them. Yeah.
I was looking. I was like, some of the little kids look mixed. I can tell. That hair is it's not islandy. That's a little mixed.
No, I mean, my perception of Polynesian or Pacific Islander community is very open. You know, when you see some of those clips from within my uncle's church, for example,
yeah,
you know, there's a bunch of islanders, but you know, Latinos, blacks, Asians, whatever the case may be, I feel like through that kind of fellowship, I guess, is where a lot of that kinship develops. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's very closed off, but that's my perception.
Gotcha. No, I mean, you also have some great footage, and I don't know where you got it from. I know you have a ending credits, but it looks like it's from the 70s or 80s. And I'm assuming, is it Samoans in the Bay or is it Samoans in LA?
LA.
And they're like pop locking. And I was like, whoa, where did he get this footage? And
yeah, it's crazy.
That's important because again, it tells this story of, because you have all this traditional stuff that's going on that's going on in a contemporary lens, right? It looks like a christening or a birthday party, and there's, like you said, your brother's wedding, and then you have this archival footage of Samoan dudes chilling in front of the house pop locking, like, like it's. I think when we talk about like culture and who's allowed to do what, I have a problem with that, because I'm from the same place you're from, where we share these things. And I've never seen someone say, maybe because maybe two of the most famous dancers are Polynesian, right? The brothers, Richmond and Tony. There's never been, but breakdancing is ours. Like, did you feel that too growing up, that you were also a part of what some people would call Black culture growing up in the part of San Francisco that you grew up in? That everybody that lived in that neighborhood was part of that same milieu, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Maybe it's particular to the Bay Area, but it can be generalized as well. But I feel like the Bay Area is much more racially fluid, I guess, as opposed to somewhere where I live now, like New York, for example, or maybe even the South.
Preach about it, please. Preach about it. My New York co-hosts don't get it. They think they're magic.
Who's this? Toussaint?
Toussaint Pascal.
Pascal, yeah.
I try to tell people there's something about living in the Bay where hearing your brother talk to me was like, yeah, this is how dudes talk from San Francisco. But dudes from San Francisco sound like this to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not shocked at all about
Right.
just how they dress. that's the city style, right? Someone says the gatekeepers in the chat. Because we did a show about it where we were talking about it, where the Australian woman that did the goofy shit, I can't think of her name.
Ray Gunn.
Ray Gunn, yeah. People were mad, like, she's taking art. It's like, well, I mean, is dancing just for you? Yeah, everybody can do it. And if you look at the top break dancers in the world, they're not from the Bronx. They're from Brazil. They're from Japan. They're from France. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to share this. And when I watch your story, I think many people from different ethnic backgrounds can watch it and see some of themselves in it. Were you cognizant of that, or were you just like, I'm just telling my story and I'm not caring about what anyone else thinks?
No, I definitely see where you're coming from. I think often people get kind of caught up in the kind of the neoliberal rationality of everything is a marketplace. Everything is something to be commodified, and that kind of creates this idea of scarcity, something that I need to put on the market, and if you're taking it, you're taking away opportunities from me, or it's something in that vein.
Mm-hmm.
But I think ideas are fluid. I think music, dancing, culture in mass, I think, is something that evolves and changes all the time. And I mean, this film is rife with intellectual property that I do not have the rights to. So maybe I have an incentive not to believe in intellectual property. But to me, that's what that kind of that ownership over culture boils down to, is intellectual property, and I'm just not really down with any of that.
I mean, that's supposed to be the magic of hip hop, right? Like you can take something from
right.
the eras before and make it something different. And this film is the epitome of a hip hop film in that regard, right? Like you're taking these different aspects of different things and making it a fluent story. Tell me a little bit about your stepfather, who sadly wasn't in the movie. Your brother talks about him as a person that came in at the right time in very influential years in his life that kind of set him straight, if you will, where he doesn't go as far as some of the other family members. When does your stepfather come in the picture for you?
Yeah, no, shout out.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, I think like my brother says, oh, are you still there?
I'm still here. You got we missed it. So I'm going to ask you the question again. Sadly, your connection got taken out. Where does your stepfather come in the picture? Sorry, we missed the whole answer.
No.
Damn it. It froze again. CIA got him. Jesus Christ. Damn it. I'm assuming his stepfather is Mumia, because that's the only reason why they would be zapping this young man's Wi-Fi connection like this. This is killing me. Got you again, man.
Sorry.
It got you again. I'm going to try to ask one last time.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay, so when did your stepfather come into the picture?
Yeah. Shout out to Tone, or Antonio, who was my stepdad. For me, I was very young. I was in elementary school, and yeah, like my brother explains. Yeah, I mean, he was essentially a dad for me, or second dad for us. And I think without Tone being there, like my brother said, maybe he would have went down a different path in life. Maybe he would have started doing some of the same things that our father did. So, for all that talk of the responsibilization and how that underclass ideology is corrosive to political economy, it's still important to consider the more subjective experience of individuals, and how individuals impact other individuals.
Yeah, we can't get too consumed by that and not also forget that there's our real people influencing other people's lives. That's a really important thing, right? And it sounds like some of your cousins did have some positive influences. Is your uncle, that's the pastor, is he the first one to kind of turn it around of the brothers?
I think so. Yeah. I would have to ask him, but he didn't go to jail, so that's step number one, I guess.
Another thing that I found interesting, because women do play a pretty big role in island life, but you don't have too many of them in the movie. Is that you wanted to focus more on the men for this one, or did they just not want to talk to you?
Yeah, so I interviewed my sisters as well, but they didn't make the cut, But I think they it's not that they didn't tell me interesting things, or that there wasn't anything that I couldn't have used in the documentary. But I wanted to tell the best story I could, and I felt like having 5 people already was already a lot to take in. But no, there is very much a lack of the woman perspective.
Is it because you grew up, and this is, look, if you don't want to answer this, I understand, and I'm not trying to, I hope this isn't offensive. Is it because you grew up with a white mom? And I guess your grandmother, was she already passed away? Or no, you did. There's the pictures of you at the end with your grandma. So you did have your grandma in your life.
Not from my mom's side. I never met her.
No, but just your dad's side, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
But your grandparents have passed on.
My grandma, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, your grandfather's still there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So is it that there just wasn't like a lot of matriarchal figures, maybe? And I get it. Like you kind of have a theme with the guy that works. It is kind of hard to just enter. And your mom works as one of these figures as well too, because she's your mom, right? Without grandma, it's kind of hard to tell the woman's story. Would you want to go back and put something together that maybe tells the female story? Because I do think there's something there about the women that hold it together while these dudes are off wilding the fuck out. Like, is there more of a story that you want to tell like that?
I think so. I mean, yeah. I mean, my sisters, for example, like, no, they're amazing women. They have children. They're amazing mothers. And yeah, like you're saying, there's that hidden labor, which is really not even when you're talking about boys in the hood, whatever, these kind of mythological depictions of the gangster of the street scene, that mythological figure, that kind of that cowboy is always doing things with his own resources, from his own perspective. It's very much a gendered story. So no, yeah, it's definitely a shortfall in the film, I would say.
Is it because you're a man? Is that a harder, like, let's be honest, is it a harder story for you to tell because you want to do it with a certain kind of care and not be exploitative? And there's what man can tell a woman's story? was that kind of in the back of your mind as well?
I mean, I think I do think there is a little something to that kind of standpoint, epistemology, right? Like, I have my experience, and it is difficult to kind of step out of that and tell somebody else's story. Already, like, these are very complex individuals in the film as it stands. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it came down to honestly not having enough time to tell those stories, but also I think that would take a film in itself, and yeah, like you said, a lot of care and attention.
Is that something that you want to do for the next project, or you kind of got your eyes on something different?
Yeah, I think for my next project, I'm really thinking about, I used to be a teacher in West Africa, in Liberia.
Okay.
And
shit. So Anthony didn't send me a bio, by the way. He literally was. I'm not even trying to be funny. Hey, my dad's from the Bay. So okay, keep going. You were a teacher at Liberia. All right.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think there's the opportunity for a very similar interplay between the historical context and the personal narrative that I could pull out from that situation. And the central figure that I have in mind, one of the people who I spent a lot of time with there, she's a grandmother. And yeah, I think she would be the kind of protagonist for my next documentary.
And in closing, I think this is kind of an important question to ask you. You know, I'm going to turn the camera on you, right? You had it on your family. What kept you from going down a certain path? I know it's going to be a confluence of things. It's not going to be a thing. But what was the first thing that kept you straight? Were you the younger one and your siblings just was like, no, you can't fuck up? Were you the one your mom finally figured out how to say, like, you can't fuck up to the right way? Sometimes it takes a few kids for you to figure out how to say it right. What is it about your path that's so different from everyone else's?
Yeah, I think honestly, I've always been a nerd. I've always been shy. I don't know, growing up, I liked science. I liked history. In high school, that's when I started first reading philosophy, and that really, that kind of showed me that life can have purpose. Honestly, that was kind of an existential awakening for me of like, there are things that you could do in this world. There are ways to change the world. So yeah, I can't point to anything in particular. I mean, I like to turn on Animal Planet, Discovery Channel,
So were you kind of the weirdo?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've always been a little bit strange, I guess.
Okay. Look, you're talking to a weird. Look at that. Mexico and there's toys behind me. My daughter literally, whenever she gives me a present, she always says something to really fuck up the gift. Like she handed me a strawberry Snicker. I'd never seen a strawberry Snicker, and I was like, "Oh, thank you." And she goes, "Yeah, we just look for things that are gross to everyone else, and we give it to you like it." Like so that's again. I'm from fucking Richmond, right? Let's playing heavy metal in fucking 9th in Pennsylvania. What's wrong with you? So I get that. So you think it was just kind of being the nerd amongst the not nerds that kept you out of trouble? Did you also have like other family members like, maybe you shouldn't be doing this? Maybe you're a little too sensitive. What we're about to do right now ain't for the sensitive. Was it a little of that too?
Not directly, but I'm sure if I tried, like, my brother was into some stuff too, and if I ever tried to do anything with him, he'd be like, nah, not for you.
It's because your brother, I think it's your brother that mentions like riding around with dudes with guns. When I was young, I had a good friend that had older sisters, and his older sisters would have like the worst boyfriends, but they were cool to us. And, we're riding around in a stolen car, or we're riding around in a car with all this dope in it. Like one of my first, like I knew I was in a different neighborhood. My friend's sister's boyfriend had parked right in front of my place, and we were like 9, and we were in front of his place shooting dice. This is the most fucking, right? You I'm sure you know this life when you're little. This is the things you do, right? You're shooting at like baseball cards or something, and has some fucking money. And this unmarked pulled up behind the car, and then they pulled him out of the car. We had never seen anything. They pulled him out of the car, and they cuffed him. And we're like, "Whoa, what the fuck is going on?" And they started just pulling keys of shit out of the trunk. And we're like, "Miami Vice is in front of our house. Miami Vice is in front of our house." Like, you can go two ways when that happens. You can be intrigued, right? Or you can be like, "That's scary. That doesn't look like fun." I'm assuming you were like me. when you saw trouble come down? Like, nah, I don't know if is that what it was for you as well?
No, definitely. Like I was saying, like Channel 51, Animal Planet. We had 63 channels. I was watching Cartoon Network or something like that. I remember one time actually, me and my brother, we were at the beach at the hills of Pacifica.
I know
and
exactly
it's
where you are.
Precipitous there, and my brother was like, "Oh, let's go down to the beach right there." And I took one look down, and I was like, "That's Broken Bone City down there." He decides to go, falls, scrapes his knee, gets all kinds of hurt. And I think when he got back up, I was just like, "I told you."
Like, you put your glasses back on. Like, I'm going inside.
Yeah, Steve Urkel.
Yeah, dude. Hey, the nerd lives to tell the story. Before we go off this main show, Dizzle McFizzle has sent a super chat and wants to ask you this question. He wants to mention Samoans are the blacks of the island people. Speaking as a Puerto Rican, the whites of the Caribbean. He says, are the hoes loyal? Why or why not? Thank you, Dizzle, for the super chat.
I mean, I feel like it's a trick question because, by definition, is I feel like they can't be loyal, right? Like,
Dizzle, not only are you asking this young man this question, but you're putting him on a spot that can get him a lot of grief when he goes back and sees his family. You understand it doesn't matter anything he said. It doesn't matter any nice thing he said about a family member. If he fucks this question up, he's going to be a bitch at every party for the next 5 years. You understand that, Dizzle, right?
But
so is that your final answer, Anthony?
Yeah,
they are not loyal by definition.
Yeah, I'm going to be magnanimous and say they're loyal.
Oh my God! Oh, damn! Oh, so many light brown people are clutching their pearls right now. So many dudes with long hair. Oh, that's his mama's side. That's what's going on right now. Oh no, he did it. Oh Lord. Even your pastor uncle is like, oh, he's so. We have another one. This interview is making me cry. Thank you for sharing human stories. Well, look, that's what we do here, and I want to keep iterating this about this movie. First and foremost, I do get a fair amount of insane emails, so messages from people. But again, he opened up with he's from the Bay. I watched 5 minutes of it, and I was like, well, this will be an easy. We'll book it. We'll book it. It'll be a great show. We could talk about Bay shit. And then I watched the movie, and I'm watching the movie. I eventually go from sitting down and taking notes to like in the fetal position with a little napkin, and I'm just dabbing it throughout because these are stories that resonate with all of us. I don't care if you're from Appalachia. I don't care if you're from the Midwest in the Upper Peninsula. I don't care if you're from the hood in East Orange, New Jersey. These are stories that you understand. They're going to resonate with you. And to put the material conditions of these stories first is, to me, it helps better understand, and it gives you better arguments when you're trying to find solutions. If you believe that crack is magical and the CIA sprinkled it like Hansel and Gretel all over the inner city, then you kind of ignore how it comes to be in the first place, right? You have an influx of cocaine. Not everybody's got money to buy cocaine, but you can cook it down to this, and it's capitalism. It's kind of urban ingenuity, if you will. Does the CIA play a role? Yeah, but it's not the role you want it to be. You know what I mean? And you need these kind of stories to explain that these things don't happen because of either magical government fairies or dysfunctional people. So I'm excited to watch it with the people.
Definitely, me too. Yeah, and if anybody is not a member and wants to watch it later on down the line, just hit me up on Instagram. I think the website is in the description. You can find me there.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. And yeah, just hit me up. I'll send you the link.
And I am putting my email in the chat as well. If you guys want to watch it and you're a Bay person, you probably know how to email me that I know you're a Bay person. And I'll give you the link and we can all watch it. The more Bay people, the better, because these people that watch the show need to understand our slang. And we just need more Samoans on the show. We need more island people because, you know, again, I have these little island kids that look like they all are part of Anthony's family. Anthony, like Drea said, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you guys in the viewing of the film in a little bit. If you want to find Anthony's film wherever you're watching or listening to the show, there's a link in the description. Is the first link in the description of the show to his website, Christians and Cannibals. It was a blessing that this young man reached out to me. Thank you so much for reaching out to me and having us watch this movie. A filmmaker that watches the show, Bill Cody, hit me up and was like, "What time is the viewing of the movie? Because I want to watch it. It sounds really interesting." So it's going to be a fun movie night. So thank you guys, and we are. Wait a minute. Where to go? We are. Let's go up cartoons. Where's the cartoons? Out. What do you say? We are what, Ant?
Out.